Yeah, no, trust me, man. I'm booked out like 12 weeks. I don't have time to create extra work. In fact, I'm kind of hoping that the lady wants to just not do anything about it. It looks like she's not done anything about it in the past. That's why all the PVC pipe there is very new. Um, the problem is we have freeze thaws here, and in Jersey, you guys should too. So you really should understand this. But I'm guessing you don't have bedrock, so you probably have basements, which changes a lot. Um, See, we don't want a bunch of water under our crawl spaces because that causes moisture issues, which leads to mold and mildew. Um, and so we really don't want a bunch of water lines under the house that we don't need to have. The water lines that we do have, they go underneath the foundation to get into the house. And they're typically buried like 3 feet in, so they're not on the edge of the foundation because they can actually freeze over there still. Sometimes you get some crafty irrigators who decide that, they're going to make their own rules. But that's not how I do it. So I try to follow the rules. If the crawl space was like walkable, and you could safely drain it into a sump pump or something, you could have like a blowout inside of the house, or like a drain valve, like a gravity drain type of setup. I actually set that up at my own property, which does have a partial basement, and it works great for me. But that's not the case here. This is a crawl space. I guarantee you that there's nothing inside except for a connection into their existing main water line. Somebody went into this the cheapest way possible because that's what a lot of the guys in my area do. That's why I'm able to be where I am at such a young age, is because I just simply didn't settle for cutting corners, and most of the other guys in my area do. So, yeah, man, unfortunately, they literally have water inside of their pipe that is coming out of the house, and it's at least a foot's worth in a 1-inch pipe. And even though it does look like it's Schedule 40 PVC, they're not going to be able to get the water out of that shutoff, or that from behind that shutoff of the backflow. They can get it from the backflow. They can clear out the backflow. They can clear out the lines in the system. They can blow it through the backflow, which is what everybody does here. You might say that's wrong too. And I can kind of agree with that, but after doing it for, a dozen years, it's never caused a problem for a backflow that I've ever serviced, so I don't believe that it's actually true, but I understand theoretically how it could be bad. But yeah, man, I'm not over here creating work. When you have water sitting outside and it freezes every single year in our area, that pipe is gonna bust. Maybe you get lucky and it doesn't bust the first year or two, but like, no doubt, 3 years, 5 years tops, you're gonna have to replace that thing every 3 to 5 years. So the right way to do it would probably be to redesign the system and tap it in out by the meter. That way you're avoiding all the water hammer problems that come with an irrigation system, especially when it's poorly designed, which I'm guessing that one is, based on the placement of the heads, based on the way they tapped into the main water line. The other thing I can tell about that is it's definitely a PVB. It was a PVB retrofit. That's an old system. And so that had a pressure vacuum breaker, because that's the highest point in the yard. And I guarantee you that that's just how they did it back then, because it had to be in the highest point in the yard. They should have still drilled it out or taken it underneath the foundation, or actually tied it in from the yard before the water actually gets in the house. Do your connection point right there and tee off. Put your main shut off, and then put a blowout, and then put your backflow, and then a hose spigot if you want. You know what I mean? But or you can use your hose spigot as a blowout. That's what a lot of guys do here. So I mean, man, there's a lot of ways to skin that cat, but no matter which way you do it, you don't leave water outside in a pipe that's PVC or copper, because it's going to freeze, it's going to explode. So, I mean, I get what you're saying. I have a brother in a different area up in northern Missouri, and he has a basement, and his is outside, and it's perfectly fine. It's also an RP. But it has a way to shut it off from inside the house and to drain out that line, so there's no water coming out of the house. But man, stuff freezes and stuff expands when the water expands when it freezes, and the pipes don't, so they bust. Simple as that. You can say I'm tearing a guy's work apart, but dude, this guy had a double check that is literally ran vertical, which that's already a fail. You can't put a double check vertical. Like, the only time I would pass a vertical double check is inside of a commercial building, just because the plumbing in there is not, I mean, I'm not a plumber, I'm an irrigator, you know what I mean? So every once in a while, we get into a tight spot, and typically we'll check with the city and say, hey, this is vertical, what do you want to do? And a lot of times it's been vertical forever, so they just let it go. But truthfully, a double check is not designed to be ran vertical. They are designed to be ran horizontal. So when you want to sit here and say I'm tearing this guy's work apart to create work, if I was over here saying because it's vertical you got to make it horizontal, then maybe I'm creating work, but that's doing it by the book. I'm not even saying it's got to be changed. All I'm saying is I can't build up the grade around the thing without putting a window well around it.